Welcome back to the Creative Juice Podcast. Today's guest is someone who has been making big waves in the Fortnite Creative and UEFN space, Ethan, the CEO of Bloom Creative. His hit game, Zombie Escape, didn't just succeed, it exploded, pulling in millions of players and providing that smart design and non-stop iteration can turn a wild idea into a global success. Ethan's story is incredible, and in this episode, he opens up about everything from building fun UGC games to scaling a studio full-time in UEFN to navigating brand collabs with major partners. And we got some wild stories that you don't want to miss, like this one where Ethan admits the most terrifying moment in his career so far.
That's like the scariest part, I think, of any creator is like putting a whole bunch of love and work into something, and then like if that would have flopped, it would have been crushing.
Or this story where he explains how a simple detail almost no one else would think about ended up getting noticed by one of the biggest creators in Fortnite.
Nick A30 actually played the game at one point a couple months ago, and that was the thing that he said out loud was, "Oh my gosh, I love these annotations," or "I love these little marks that show you where to go." And it was like, okay, that paid off.
And later, he reveals the craziest mechanic Bloom Creative almost shipped, but had to scrap because UEFN couldn't handle it.
Early on, I built like a Thunder Gun prototype from Call of Duty, and I really wanted to ship that, but it was so buggy and janky, and it like didn't work half the time.
That's just a taste of what's ahead, so stick around because this episode is packed with insight, stories, and some serious, valuable lessons for anyone trying to make it in this space. Let's go.
This is Creative Juice.
All right, how's it going, Ethan? How you been?
Wonderful. Good to see you, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Dude, of course, man. I know we've been spinning the works for a little bit, man. I've been so excited to have you on. You guys have been able to create some awesome success in the platforms, doing some big collabs, brands, live opsing a game better than most have done in this space. So, dude, I'm so excited to get into it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's an honor to be here.
Of course, man. Of course. So let's just get started, man. I want to talk about kind of your career leap.
Yeah.
And so you went from programming to running a full studio in Fortnite Creative, UEFN. Like, what's the scariest moment in making that leap? And what kept you from like walking away when things got tough?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say in the beginning, it actually wasn't too bad. Really, it was just about learning Verse, learning the ecosystem, starting to work with people. And then, of course, my partner, Jonathan, most people know him as Jaith. He's like my partner on this. So we really had each other to kind of lean on and work together with. I'd say, I think the scariest part came when we actually hit publish in Zombie Escape, because that's like the scariest part, I think, of any creator is like putting a whole bunch of love and work into something and then, you know, putting it out there in the world for everyone to react to. And we had such high expectations of its success. And then like if that would have flopped, it would have been crushing. So I think that was probably the scariest moment for sure.
No, great answer. It is, man. You're especially when you like go official, you make a team, you're like, all right, you know, you're
We're
just
all
like
in.
the first publish. That's so scary. But dude, a crazy story, man. Look at Zombie Escape. It's doing well, man. You guys have been crushing it. So let's talk about that. So like building a hit, basically, like Zombie Escape didn't just succeed. It like blew up. You guys got some amazing CCUs. So was there like a moment you realized this is huge? Like walk us through that.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, it's actually at the time of recording this, it's been a year and 2 days exactly. Two days ago was a year since we published the game, so that's a cool note right there. And then
1 year anniversary. Let's go.
Oh yeah. As far as your question, I think it actually probably happened before we had any success, before we even published. When we were building Zombie Escape, we ran a lot of playtests, like once a day for like 3 weeks at one point.
Wow.
And
smart.
so I'd say, but yeah, the first couple playtests, as you can imagine, were kind of a mess. They were a huge flop and failure. The game was way too difficult to even play and get to the end. But I think probably by like our third or fourth test, it actually started to be really fun. And we started to see, we started to hear laughter. We started to have people message us like, hey, can I continue playing the playtest code? Is that allowed? And it's like, okay, we had people actually wanting to play the game, and we didn't have to pay them to play test or like beg them to join this broken code. And it was actually pretty cool. It was like people actually wanted to play it. And I think there was one time even where we were play testing it and it went like 3 or 4 hours. And it was like after the first hour was when we like kind of called it. We were like, okay, you guys, thank you for joining and everything. And then people just kept playing for hours. And it was like, okay, wow, we actually found something pretty fun here. And that was probably the moment right there.
Dude, that's so cool. Dude, I have to touch on that. Like most people like play test their game once or twice, you know what I mean, and publish, and that's wild. You like that's like great advice for creators is trying to do 3 weeks of worth of play test, or the first one is always the worst, dude. You always find all the bugs, and it sucks because especially if it's game breaking, where you're like you finally organize, get all these people, and then you're like, all right, guys, well,
it's the worst. It's the worst feeling ever when you just get a bunch of people and then it's like, all right, never mind. Sorry, guys. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, for us, it was really about like, leaving no opportunity for failure. We wanted to make sure that everything in the game was good to go. Everything was perfect and really just refine it, because me and Jaith, we had a pretty good idea of what was fun. We were kind of building the game that we wanted to play, but I think this is a business. It's not a hobby to us. This is a business. So we need to make sure that we're making business decisions. And one of those was to actually check if this game idea works with the player base. And so that was a big part of playtesting, is just getting feedback from players. And, there were many decisions that were made solely because of those playtests that probably contributed to the success that we had. So, well, not probably, most definitely did.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to piggyback on this, do you or someone on your team, you guys probably play your game every day, right?
Yep.
Every day. They're in their games playing it.
He's testing it. Several hours a day. He's testing and getting feedback from people. It's like a live play test. He's in there talking to people on the mic and just figuring out what the game needs every day.
That's another nugget right there. Anyone listening, like that is huge. Just getting in there, talking to your players, asking them what you like, what you don't like. Following people, right? Watching people, what they're doing in your
that's
game.
The best.
Yeah. It's huge. I remember some of my early games, like I felt like such a creeper. I'd just be like kind of in the corner.
Yeah.
Like people are like, what's this dude doing? But yeah, dude, super smart. So let's talk about your secret sauce, okay?
Sure.
Like so many maps drop every week, but very few stick, right? So like what made like Zombie Escape addicting when like, others aren't doing so well or flop, I guess?
Yeah. There's a lot there. I think number one, the most important thing to us was, I guess, just the attention to detail. When we built this game, this was kind of the first, Zombie Escape is a concept that's been around for a long time. It's been around for like 20 something years, all the way back to Half-Life and CSGO and Gmod. So it's an existing concept that works.
Yeah.
And we wanted to Fortniteify it. We wanted to make it work on Fortnite. And in doing so, we also wanted to make sure that, no one else could just easily copy it and clone it. And then we're splitting our player base like that. So we wanted to make sure that this was so good that it couldn't be copied. That was kind of like the leading principle in our design, and our focus was like, okay, this needs to be so good that it's just like undeniable how good it is. And it's like no one's even going to try to clone it. I think another cool story I have about our attention to detail is like we have these little annotations. If you played Zombie Escape, we have like arrows and notes and like funny quotes and sayings. And that doesn't really add to the gameplay a whole lot. It's just kind of like a fun extra detail. But I'll say a funny story about this is Nick A30 actually played the game at one point a couple months ago. And that was the thing that he said out loud was, oh my gosh, I love these annotations, or I love these little marks that show you where to go. And it was like, okay, that paid off. That was a small little detail that we added that, some creators might have skipped out on, and that actually made a huge difference. So just attention to detail, and yeah, it makes
perfect sense, dude. You love it too when you get a big freaking icon.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Influencer when they play your game, it's nerve-wracking. But when he's in also the creative space, made games and stuff. So he definitely has a voice so it's very.
That's why I mentioned it. Yeah, because he's the pro. He's a pro gamer. He's a pro creator too. So that was a cool little mention from him.
So the annotation. So are they like markers to like where to go kind of thing? Like kind of helps guide players, right? So it's just something that that is huge in your game. And I've played your game a lot. I have a lot of fun playing your game. It's a great game to just kind of like. Just get lost. Just it's super fun, super sticky. We'll definitely have a bunch of stuff on screen so you guys can check out the game. But it's probably something I didn't even notice. Like it was like I used, but I didn't like notice it out loud like that. And yeah, it's a huge thing for the especially the similar your game like that is having those extra things that can guide players. Let's kind of switch gears like a little bit, but we're staying on topic about live service mindset. Because like I mentioned, you guys are live ops in this very well. So. You treat Zombie Escape like a live service with seasons and events. What's the toughest lesson you've learned about keeping players like coming back?
Yeah, so this was definitely a huge lesson for us. We were novices in the ecosystem and we really didn't have any clue what we were doing. So we were learning as we go. I think we got a little bit too ambitious with that, is that we were kind of promising a lot of things that we wanted to do and then ultimately couldn't because of conflicts or problems or just ecosystem issues. So that was a big lesson for us, is realizing that, okay, we kind of have to slow down a little bit and make sure that we're actually providing the content that we're promising. But yeah, we don't want to just ship a game and call it quits.
Yeah.
We have the mindset of it can always be better. And every day we're finding ways to improve the game. That's really what it's about, is just continuing to improve and be better. And then our future games and this game will benefit from it.
Yeah. No, very true. Very true. Like, was there an update or anything that you saw like a good spike? Like, or like you pushed it and like your audience just like loved it?
Yeah, that was most definitely the city update. That was our second big map, or our second map ever. We pushed this whole city environment that was just the most fun environment you could ever play, and it was awesome. Unfortunately, in doing that, we had some pretty significant performance issues, so a lot of players couldn't even play it, and that was just that was us to fix and figure out. But we ended up having to take out city completely, which sucked. But I guess in that 2 months that it was in that was our peak.
No, that's cool though, and I'm sure you learned so much from that, right? And do's and don'ts and probably optimization, man. That's the hardest part, I think. One of the hardest parts. I'm sure you could speak more than I can on this, is making sure your game is just optimized so all players, especially now with mobile, we're trying, coming back. I'm like, it's always been around, but like really coming back in the space. We just got announced that they're going to be doing $1 million mobile tournament. For,
really?
Fortnite, yeah.
I didn't know that.
They announced it yesterday at FNCS Globals. So mobile, they're really pushing players to come into mobile. So that's definitely something you want to be thinking about your game.
Definitely, yeah.
You always
battle. Yeah,
everyone should have always been doing that, right? But
yeah, it's easy to get carried away in the content rather than the optimization.
For sure. No, great answer, man. You guys have been crushing it. And I really want to talk about your brand collabs. You've done some really interesting stuff in that space. So you pulled off a collab with like Panda Express and The Walking Dead. Like, what's something about working with big brand creators that you would never expect? Is there any horror stories or maybe a surprise win or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, brand collabs are awesome because we can get paid to add content to the game and add to the experience for players. That's really what we try to focus on, is instead of just logo slap integrations, we want to actually contribute to the experience and make it fun. I think one maybe horror story that we have is we did the Sleepy Hollow integration and we ran it for 30 days, which on paper sounds all great, but that got pretty repetitive pretty quickly after the first 2 weeks. So that was duration definitely matters a ton. You don't want to overdo it, Yeah. So that's yeah.
Well, that's a great lesson. You know what I mean? That knowing your game and what people are reacting. Yeah. If people are getting pushed something in their face consistently for a long period of time, that I can get frustrating for any. It doesn't matter what it is. It's not the brand or anything. That's just anything you have.
Yeah.
No, very cool. You have more to add on that, or anything?
Yeah? I guess I'd also say The Walking Dead was like the perfect opportunity. I mean, it just didn't.
Oh yeah,
doesn't get more perfect than that. So that was like the ultimate, like immediate yes. Yeah, obviously we want to build a Walking Dead zombie escape, and that map was actually that turned out to be a success in my opinion. I think that was an awesome experience. We had some custom sounds made and music, and it was just a really great experience overall. So that was definitely a huge win.
Was it a port for a time being, or was it a whole new game?
It was a whole new game. Yeah, from the ground up.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That Walking Dead, there was a really good launch. I feel like there's a lot of games that did pretty well on launch.
Yeah.
It's a fun IP that kind of really goes well, especially with like the zombie maps or even the roguelike maps, things like that. There's a lot of good fits. So
yeah, it's
a good fit with their ecosystem. So no, man, that's congrats. You guys are. I remember seeing your games and you guys were kind of. I was like a perfect collab. I was like, oh yeah, that was perfect. I'm good. That was smart, man. You guys crushed it.
It was pretty fun.
We talked about Sleepy Hollow a little bit. I want to talk more about that because it was an awesome experience. You guys kind of like did it in a way that hasn't maybe been done before, very little in our space. That it made a really fun, like engaging concept inside of your already popular game. So, you brought Sleepy Hollow into Zombie Escape. Like, how did that partnership come together, and what was like the hardest part about making a survival game fit in an artist brand and music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So that came together. Do you know Roji Plays?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Roji.
we worked with Roji a little bit a while back, and he actually brought that to us. Somehow he got in touch with Sony and realized they were looking for an integration to do with Sleepy Hollow, and he recommended us, and we got in touch. So shout out to Roji for that.
Yeah, Roji, let's go.
Yeah, at the time we had just shipped the city update, and Sleepy's team wanted to do 2055 as the song for the integration. So in that song, it's like, if you watch the music video, it's like this futuristic city. It's like kind of like a dreamy space environment. And it was just perfect because we had the city and we were like, okay, we'll switch up the environment a little bit, make it this futuristic neon, some looking city. And then to top it off, we did the finale. If you haven't played Zombie Escape, in the game, we have these different extraction scenarios at the end that we call finales. And we did one for Sleepy where he's performing 2055 in this, you know, kind of dream state city. It's on his custom car that he had. And it was just it was a perfect storm. It was awesome.
It's very cool. I'm sure we'll have clips showing kind of a little bit of that, but it was a very cool experience. You kind of already talked about a little of the hardships or something that you've learned about, like, you know, maybe having some experiences too long or something. But like, how did it do for your game? Like having a really cool artist. I know we're starting to see that a little bit. Like Jogo had a XX on theirs, and it really spiked their numbers. Like, how did it? I know you said it could maybe kind of, depending on it, kind of hurt maybe if for a long activation, but like, you know, at the start and having a live ops, you know, a live event, did it help your game though?
Oh, absolutely.
On launch?
Yeah. So Jaith is our marketing guy. He's on the socials all day, building TikToks and YouTube videos, and everything that he does revolves around marketing our game. And so that was it was just so easy to market it with that integration, because obviously we have Sleepy Hollow and a great song, like a top Billboard song. So it was like, and he had rights to use it on our socials for a short period. So it was like
perfect.
It was just too easy for him. So that was
it worked out perfect, man. Perfect. So let's talk about behind the curtain a little bit. Every dev has wild ideas that don't make it to releases. Like, what's the craziest mechanic you almost shipped but had to cut because UEFN couldn't handle it?
That's probably too many answers for that one. There's a lot. I'd say, I think in the context of Zombie Escape, we wanted to do wonder weapons, so like custom weapons. Early on, I built like a thunder gun prototype from Call of Duty, and I really wanted to ship that, but it was so buggy and janky, and it like didn't work half the time. So you would like shoot right when you needed it, and it didn't go off, and it was such a cool, fun weapon. But yeah, the support for custom weapons just isn't quite there yet in UEFN. So that's what I would say is a custom wonder weapons soon,
cool.
Hopefully.
Soon, right? I know they keep custom items. I think did it get pushed maybe just a little bit, or it did get pushed, but like it's like a quarter. But I think it's this year still. But yeah, custom weapons is next year now.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah. Ooh, I know.
You see a lot of cool, really cool stuff on like Twitter, people creating custom weapons, and it's like, wow, I respect. How did you even do that? Because that looks like there's so much polish with them. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and working with a large scale bunch of people inside of it, making that all work. Yeah, that's got to be tough. But yeah, that'll be a huge add for our ecosystem when we can make our own guns and so that's really cool. No, very cool, man. Very, very good answer. Now, I think a lot of people maybe want to know about this, but like, you know, money and reality. A lot of creators want to go full time into UEFN, but like aren't sure about the payouts. So like, what's the real story about making a living, and what's the biggest mistakes you see creators make when they try to, like, you know, go pro, I guess, if you want to say that?
Yeah, I'd say it's important. I guess it's important to acknowledge whether or not you're treating it as a hobby or a business. I know people that treat it as a hobby. They make games for their kids and, you know, make their dream game that they want to play with their spouse or whatever. That's great. That's awesome. But you can't go into it with that mindset and then also expect to make a living and a huge success. You have to also treat it as a business and make sure that the decisions you're making align with business related goals. So you have to make sure that, you know, you're making enough money to keep doing it, to hire people, to support this, whatever your vision is for UEFN and building games. Yeah, you really just have to make sure you have clear goals and that your decisions are aligned with those goals. You definitely can make very good money in this ecosystem, like no doubt. It's probably easier than a lot of other careers to make a small fortune, but you do have to work for it. You have to work hard for it. It's it's about having a high risk tolerance and giving it your all and being smart about it.
Yeah, you made it sound like it's like really you put it in a good way, like straightforward, and yeah, it's very true what you're saying, and I think a lot of people come into this space and they put so much time and effort in their game. Some spend a year into making a game, and they expect once you release it instantly, it's going to be popular. And usually it takes a few different games just to kind of figure it out. Or like you said, it's definitely really more understanding the space rather than making what you want to make. I think making what you want to make is great, though, because it's so much easier to learn when you're having fun and making something you enjoy. But yeah, if you're coming in trying to make it in this space, with that mindset, I mean, a lot of us started like you couldn't even make money in this space. We just would love to make games, and that kind of came later. But like, let's stay on the same topic. Like, is there anything more you want to add on to this?
Yeah, so I would say you gotta work with people and fail fast. Working with people can mean a lot of different things. To me, that means playtesting, validating your idea with people. Just small play tests early on, and ship your games as fast as possible. Don't spend a year on it. Spend a year live opping it instead of polishing it before you publish. Like, try to fail as fast as you can, because there are a tremendous amount of successes and wins in every failure. So that'd be my answer to that.
Okay, man. No, very good answer. And yeah, thanks for being so candid about this. And, a lot of people watching this podcast, I think, are kind of, either have had success or trying to get to success. And yeah, I love to kind of ask that question about people who are actually, thriving and doing well in this space. So thank you for sharing that. Let's move on to this question. It's about coding as a superpower. You are a verse programmer at heart, now running a studio, and you make some amazing, crazy things. So like, you've shared some of your verse code snippets with other devs and in the community. Like, do you see coding as the ultimate edge in Fortnite Creative UEFN, or can non-coders still kind of compete at the top level? This is a loaded question.
Oh, it is for sure. I'd take that a step further. I'd say coding is the edge in life, in everything, and not in business, and not just this ecosystem. I had a mentor a long time ago. I don't know where he got this quote, but he said, "Coding is like magic because you can create value out of thin air." There's really not a huge amount of upfront cost to build something of value with code. You just have to know how to write code. And once you do that, you can ship a game or software or something that lives on the internet and works for you. So I think it's definitely the ultimate edge. As far as like learning to program, it's getting a lot easier with dev tools and AI, especially for anyone to, it's lowering the barrier of entry for new developers to create with code. So I think that's a huge benefit to the ecosystem lately.
Speaking on this, like, so how'd you get into programming? Like, what was your background before you came over to UEFN?
Yeah, I've been kind of programming here and there as a hobby for a long time. I actually started out learning to program by modding games like Minecraft and computer games when I was a kid. After that, I actually went to school. I wanted to go to school for game development, and then I ended up going for computer science and doing some software startup stuff and going down that path. And then ultimately ended up pivoting to game development anyway. And that's where I found my love for building games and creating code that people can play and changes people's lives.
We're cooking today, man. This is awesome. Thanks again, Ethan. I really want to talk about kind of like your community connections. Your game has pulled in millions of players, but also built like a real community behind it, right? So like, how do you balance listening to feedback with staying true to your own vision? I know this can be hard.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. We always try to listen to every suggestion, all the feedback that our community gives us, but sometimes they can get carried away. And sometimes we realize that we have to ultimately make the decision, because I guess one example is like, people are always asking us to add like superpowers like flight or invisibility or something, and it's like, no, obviously we can't add that. That's going to break the game. But yeah, they continue to ask for it. That's kind of an extreme example. But as far as like game balance and long-term game design decisions that we have to make, there are a lot of good ideas and feedback that we get from our community. And most of the time we work with them and say like, okay, let's break this down. Like, why is this person asking for this in the first place? Like, what's the root cause? Is this a patch for something that's broken, or is it an addition to the game? And really just kind of dissect every piece of information that we can and ask ourselves whether or not it makes the game better or worse. And that's really what it's about, is just that simple question.
Yeah, no, great answer. And that can always be challenging, but it's also good, man. If you have a game that players are actually coming to you and like giving you ideas, that's the dream. You can't. And I'm sure like once you get ideas too that are like consistent or multiple people are asking for something, you gotta like really start thinking about it. But it's tough. I mean, I'm sure. So is your game like like full memory? Like every time you add something, you gotta remove something. Are you guys at that stage?
Pretty much, yeah. We've cut back quite a lot because the game, we got to a point where we just couldn't add anymore. Like the verse code was taking too long to compile, and the project would take forever to open. So we had to cut back quite a bit. That's part of the reason we had to remove City and kind of tone down our update cadence a little bit. But yeah, generally it's we're always trying to improve it, and any room for improvement that we can find in optimization, we're gonna use it and then add content if we can.
Yeah, it's so tough, especially when you're at that point where you're at a point where you got to start thinking about either removing something or replacing something. And what I guess is the juice worth the squeeze for lack
There's
of
a
a
fine
better
line
term.
there, very fine line there. So it's tough.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a good problem to have, but yeah, it's definitely tough. All right, let's talk about future tech. We've recently just got a big kind of update around the roadmap, and so I want to kind of ask this question. So with like AI, better tools coming, and Epic's roadmap, the sandbox is evolving fast here. Like, what upcoming features or tech excites you most as a creator?
Yeah, I'd say in terms of actually adding tangible value, like significant value, is going to be scene graph. I think scene graph is going to be a lot easier to work with and build games. We'll be able to build games a lot faster, I think, which is going to be awesome once it's stable.
Yeah.
I think also AI, like the dialogue feature that they added, that's a really cool indicator of what's to come, especially like playing with the Darth Vader update. If you played that at all, that was such a fun experience to like actually see AI being used in a way that adds value to the game. That's a really exciting, and I like the direction that Epic is taking with it, of like, okay, how do we ensure that this technology actually improves the experience for players and isn't just a random AI slop, whatever.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
I agree. When they rolled that out at Unreal Fest about the AI assistant, my brain was going wild. I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." At first, I was like, how's this going to work? Or like, is this going to be, like, is it only going to be for certain games that people are going to want to use this, or for what?" But I think there is something, especially with onboarding, that any game maybe be able to help, especially if, you can kind of train it yourself on what to say or not to say. I think that's going to be really interesting. Also, maybe just I've been trying to think of some fun ways to use it. Also, like on I mean, if you do have a story game or anything where you can talk to somebody, or like talk to it's like you're actually really talking to someone, that's just really going to be immersive. So, and we all know like this, I think it's already out or coming out, like full AI, like quests and talking. It's all like all on live.
All data driven. It's all data driven AI, which is really, really interesting. There's a lot of opportunities for different types of games and features that could come from that. So it is really exciting.
It's crazy, man. It's going to be awesome. We got like one or two more questions left before we wrap up, Ethan. But like, I want to give you a moment to kind of, shout out your team, anything you're working on or anything, the listeners should check out.
Yeah. Shout out to Jaith, obviously. He's the mastermind behind this game, and wouldn't be possible without him. He couldn't be here today, but maybe next time.
Yeah.
He's an awesome guy. A whole lot of information. You probably have a good time talking to him and picking his brain as well. And then also King Kilo, as you know, our man King, he's the level design genius. I have never worked with someone that works as hard as him in my life. He is a grinder, and he is just a mad genius at Fortnite Creative and in this ecosystem. He knows his way around every device, and he'll sit there through any problem that I have, even if it's verse. He'll sit there with me and problem solve it. Huge shout out to him. He makes this all possible as well.
Nice, man. No, those are two goats for real. I've met Jaith a few times at events. He's super nice, super knowledgeable. And of course, King, I've known King for, way back in the day. He's been around the space and he pays attention to everything. Like he's very just like, he's hungry. He's watching big streamers. He's watching the space, playing all the game, doing all the things you need to be doing to understand this space and helping live ops games or create games. So yeah, those great shouts. Where can people, follow you?
Yeah, Twitter, BloomCreativeX, and I'd say our Fortnite account is where you can stay up to date. I don't want to give too much information about our future games, but we do have some pretty cool ones coming out in the near future. That would be the place to check it out, is on our Fortnite creator account.
Let's go. I'll put links in the description. And maybe brands who are listening, interested in, reaching out to you as well. What's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, probably Twitter. Yeah, I'm sure you'll put the handles on screen or something.
100%. So yeah, you can hit him up there. Check him out there. So last question, looking ahead, Fortnite Creative, UEFN, is a metaverse playground. Like, what does it look like this is the hardest question, by the way. What do you think it looks like in like 5 years, and where do you think Bloom Creative, fits in?
Yeah, it is a tough question. It's tough. It's like there's so many directions it can go. I'd say in general, the thing that excites me most about the future of this ecosystem is just, look at the past of Fortnite. Look what they've done to push metaverse gaming forward in the past couple of years. They were the first game where you could play on any platform with anybody in your family or your friends. It was like, that was a huge thing to do for the industry. So that's, I think, like wherever this ship is headed, I'm happy to be on it and I'm excited to be on it. And as far as what we're going to do at Bloom Creative, we just want to keep building fun games, man. Yeah, we want to 5 years from now, I hope to have 5 more games on quality, on par with the quality of Zombiescape if possible. That would be the dream.
Oh, it will happen for sure. I know you guys are grinders, and you guys will figure it out and have figured it out. So no, look, this was a fun episode. Shared so much knowledge, Ethan. Seriously, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about your game.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me, Matt.
Yeah, anytime. And yeah, we'll have to do maybe some of your other games or something come out. We'll have to bring Jaith back on, or bring him on, and yeah, get the crew. Maybe we can get King to come on.
Absolutely, we'll do the whole crew, whole Bloom Creative. Yeah,
it'd be super fun. But seriously, hats off, congrats, you guys are crushing it. And yeah, man, keep crushing it, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Of course, brother. We'll see you on the next one. Huge thanks to Ethan for coming on and sharing the Bloom creative journey. If you haven't already played Zombie Escape, go check it out. And you can find all of Ethan's socials linked in the description. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow, subscribe, and like the podcast. And it really helps if you leave a positive review on your favorite podcast app. See you in a fortnight, which is 2 weeks. And remember, don't hate, create.